All right. Hey there, everybody. We're going to start with day 3 of our lecture content. If you go to announcements, I got some starter code. You can copy and paste. That way we have several things we can build on. Why is the internet fucking shitty? There you go. Copy and paste that bad boy. I don't know why it showed up with a gap here. You should be able to just copy and paste the whole goddamn thing and put it in a new one, which I have here. All right, so we talked about doing templating. We're going to hold off on templating for a second because we're going to do the other thing that comes in this section. It's called inheritance. I've got string and vector in here because we're going to use them today. I've made a constant double for pi, a global constant that I can access in any of them. And I've got some shapes here. Circle, triangle, rectangle, box, and something called shape. And so class shape has a string. It's only got one variable. It's a string. It's a color. A shape is like really a vague description of an item, right? Like if I said it's the shape, you're like, well, do you got any more than that? Is it a fucking oval? What is it? You know, do we have an ellipse? What are we talking about here? So we have this variable. We got a constructor made. We got some default settings. And then I've got two methods here. One says virtual double calculate perimeter, and one just says virtual display info. Virtual, what we're going to do with inheritance is we're going to build other shapes that take content from this and build upon it. So like all the shapes we're going to have, we're going to give a color to. So I assigned that as its one variable here. Virtual allows any class that builds on this class, this base class here, allows it to use that function with the same name. If it has an equals 0, you have to do the class. Otherwise, if it's just virtual without the equals 0, like virtual void display info, you have the option to create it. But if it says equals 0, you must create it. Calculate perimeter is probably not the best one to do equals 0 on, because like if you're going 3D, you don't really like perimeter, really. But we'll take a look at that and deal with that when it comes up. So this is called an abstract data type because it's kind of meaningless. It doesn't have anything with it. It's the base class. All the methods are virtual. Can't really do anything with it. Then we have some derived classes. Derived classes like circle, the way we set them up is we say, kind of like we had.
Oops. Sorry.
Is Jose fucking my shit up again? I watched my videos from previous semester go, what did I talk about on this day? And sure shit, Juan does it every goddamn time. Uh-huh. It's all right. So, like this is like a parent class. This class right here is like a parent class. I really like this, what Visual Studios does. When you have a shape like this, you can like shrink it down so it is not taking up a lot of room. I kind of want to like see that. Well, not really here, but we'll come back and look at it. And then like if we want to have something that pulls information from it, it's called a derived class or a concrete class because it's actually an item. We're going to actually make something with it. Another name for this is like child class or children class. And the way we do it is we say, we're going to go with public shape. I'm going to pull information from shape and use it here. Notice circle, I gave it a radius because that's what circles have. That's kind of like what one of its defining characteristics. And then, but the constructor has room for the color and the radius. So what it's doing here is the double comes from this double equals 0. Maybe I should say double arg r or arg radius. And we'll call this string arg c for color, just to make it a little clear where everything's coming from. Arg c is from the shape base class. Arg r is for radius in this class. So it's like anything that the previous class has that we're building on, we inherit its variables, its methods. That's why this is called inheritance. That's why we use parent-child. Children often inherit, well, you get your genes from your parents, if nothing else. So it's called inheritance, and we're pulling information from there. Any method that is virtual up here can be made down below and keep the same name, which is kind of handy. You'll see so in a little bit. Any method with a equal 0, we have to do. So like calculate perimeter has to be done. We have to have this method here. Void display info, I chose to do it. We'll take a look at it when we run it. And kind of a handy thing to do is whatever you have for your constructor, like put in a comment below it so that if you minimize it, you can go up and look at it real quick and not have to look at all the lines of code that you don't give a shit about. Yeah. Do what? Yeah. I'll hit run real quick. No, it will not run if you don't have the equal 0 one done. Like calculate perimeter had to be done because it had equal 0. If I don't have it there, because I have in main down here, build a circle kind of thing. Is that where you were having issues? That doesn't make any sense. Let's see. No, see. But if I comment out the other one, the void display, well, I'm calling on it there, so maybe I need to comment it out there too. Ah, shit, I'd have to comment it down below as well. You can do this without that one. This way. Like how to make this bigger. How to make these numbers. Yeah, view. Oh, shit. I don't know. Let's look it up later. Like I got material to get through. This is like an off question. Someone was asking me how I made this shit appear. I had it yellow the other day, and someone asked in here. I think you are asking. Someone was sitting next to you, Aaron, that asked. I don't think were you sitting next to him last week? No, whoever was sitting next to you last time asked. Was it Carlos? This little cursor icon thing. Someone asked last time, and then I looked it up over the weekend, and I put it up on Juan's Discord, like how I did it. It's a Windows thing. So if you're on Apple, you can, I don't know, find your own way. But I'll figure out that later this way. Where was I? So we've got circle. We've got some accessor methods, some set and get. And we've got some methods down here. And we can go take a look at them real quick. We've got shape. When you do your implementation down below, you have to tell it where you're getting it or where you're passing through. Like by having shape color right here, it says, okay, this is my constructor for circle. I'm going to take arc color and arc radius. That's what I need to take in. Arc color, I'm going to pass off the shape. And then I'll just take arc radius and set right equal to it. So this says if for my set radius, this is some verification right here. If someone tries to type in a negative radius, you can't have a negative radius. So what we're going to do, rather than just asking them for a new one, we're just going to make whatever they send positive. There's many ways you can do it. You can prompt them for another radius, but we're just going to assume that maybe like you were using this in a code and you didn't do the absolute value and you needed the negative version or you need the positive version. So that's what I did. That's just a little bit of data verification right here. That way we make sure we don't enter in stupid shit. We've got our calculate perimeter 2 pi times radius. I'm using the accessor method each time, and the area of a circle is pi r squared. So rather than using the C math function, just the simplest way to do a square is just do it times itself. Don't pull in extra libraries if you don't need to. So that's how circle's set up. Notice the only one I really needed to do this shape thing on was the constructor, because we're actually passing information into that other class. So where is that base shape class? It's right here. It looks like our standard object here. You have a question, I swear, or you're just scratching your head? What's your question? If it's about the fucking numbers, I'm gonna come over. Because I typed some other stuff in here that made it push the line down some. Just pay attention to the code content, not like if it's shifted a little bit, it's because I've typed right now during the day. Like I'm adding to this, I'm building on it. If I didn't type anything this whole fucking time, you'd be like, I don't need this. I can watch a video on this. So like the idea is to go along with it. Like I added parent class right there. I'm gonna I need that back in. So we've got one for circle. I built one for triangle as well. Notice we're doing public shape again. Since this is gonna basically be, what is it when equilateral triangle? Because I don't have 3 sides listed. So maybe this isn't a good triangle class. But we could fix it if we wanted to. I have a rectangle. Rectangles building off of the shape. So we've got length, width, and color. And box, which builds off of rectangle. So you can have multiple tiers of the family tree. So this went from shape to rectangle and rectangle box, which kind of makes sense. Rectangle gave the shape a design, but that was only in 2D. A box is 3-dimensional. All we're really adding is another dimension, height. And so this one's kind of fun. If we look at class box public rectangle, I'm going to go down to a rectangle down here. I really like how I typed this to set this up. So rectangle, where's box? Here's box. Box has all of its shit. And it says, I need to pass length, width, and color to rectangle. And it only sets height here. So length, width, and color goes to the constructor up here for rectangle. And rectangle says, okay, I've got length, width, and color. I'll set length and width in my class. And then we're going to go back up to the base class and do it there. What do you, the colon, this thing? Yeah, it means pass the information to that. This is handy. It seems like, well, why the fuck do this? think about like if you were making a video game and you got like, let's say it's an action game, there's or fucking like Dark Souls. You got monsters. Monsters all have fucking hit points. They got like an armor rating. They got it, they have like an attack type, like an attack modifier, maybe like a damage type, maybe there's damage resistances, how much damage they do. All of these monsters have it. So why do I want to make a fucking object class for each of those monsters and list out all the fucking variables every single time for each one of those? I don't need to. I can just make a base class called monster class. And then I can put in millennia as a, like an object class that's built off. In fact, games often have boss monsters and then like everything else. So you might want boss monsters to have different shit. You could do a couple tiers, monster, and then like trash monster, and then boss monster, and then with each of those trees, do different ones. Trash monsters have like zombies and fucking skeletons and goblins and depending on what you're playing, if it's a sci-fi thing, there might be killer robots, shit like that, whatever you're playing. But monster bosses, you want like named ones, and they're only going to show up kind of once. But they might have more shit going on. They've got like special attacks. A lot of trash monsters don't have special attacks. Why put a special attack thing in there for? So like there's reasons to do this stuff. It's kind of handy. Notice I did the data verification on all of these. So let's go before, in fact, come up here to the code real quick. You'll notice, why do I have a constant size 3? Did I make it? I didn't do anything with that yet. And I was just showing each type of one. So if I run it, so I set up a rectangle with length. I think that's length. Let's come up and look at rectangle. Length and width. Length 5.4, width of 12.3. Type is blue, or color is blue. A box that has more dimensions with red. We did a circle with red. Oh, that's so boring. You don't think what? Is it right here? And then I've got a triangle. And notice I said implement a sphere. We're going to build our own right now, real quick. Then we'll check out some other stuff. So if we're looking at it, display, I don't see any other C outs here. It's all in the display info. So they all have the same command. They're all pulling display info from shape. And they each are allowed to have something different. Shape just does get color or says what the color is. Circle is giving color, radius, circumference, and area. So we have extra methods for it. Triangle is doing the same thing. Clearly an equilateral triangle because triangles perimeter is just 3 times the side, so all the sides have to be equal. That's probably not the best shape for a triangle, but the best thing to do for a triangle. But I think it gets the idea across of different shapes we can do. And then rectangle and box have their same information. In fact, box, we have a cube in there. Oh, that was fun. Surface area, it's kind of hard to see because it's got all the spaces in there equally. But you've got like the length, width, and height, but there's 2 sides that have a length and a width, 2 sides that have a width and a height, and 2 sides that have a length and a height. So you could, this is the shortcut for doing surface area of a 3-dimensional box. And apparently, although I made the triangle have 4 sides of equal length, I didn't make the box have equal lengths. That would be like a cube. Let's implement our own. Let's make one for a sphere. So let's come up here. I'm going to minimize these down. Maybe I'll put this one right here. Oh, I want to have it under derived classes, so I'll put it right here. What are we doing? Sphere. And we're going to build on, let's build on circle. A sphere has a radius, so circle's already got the radius. Let's build on circle. I can't do that before the circle. Gotta do it after the circle. We're gonna have a private section and we're gonna have a public section. Does a sphere have anything that a circle does not have? It's 3D, but like in terms of variables, it doesn't really have another variable, does it? Oh yeah, yeah. And we do need, like, there's some things we needed. Well, we want to have a display info in there. We're gonna throw that in there. We had to have calculate perimeter, even if we make it do nothing, because the perimeter on a circle doesn't really make a lot of sense, does it? Maybe we'll make this be meaningless. The equals 0 forces it. Us to make one. Maybe we should have, like a sphere does have a volume though, not an area. So maybe we should do double volume. Or calculate volume, calc volume. And type void just to do it. And maybe calculate surface area. And we probably need a constructor. What do I need to pass off? I need to bring, I just use shit. It's literally the same thing as circle, but I just call it sphere because we don't have any new variables. Right? Yeah, that's looking good. And I'll put that down below. Right there, so I can see it there. Give you guys a second to make yours, and then we'll copy that down below and implement the class. Everybody ready? Those are the ones I need down below. I'm going to copy this and say sphere implementations. And we need to do the scope resolution operator, sphere colon sphere. And we are passing all of that to circle. All of that shit is getting passed to circle. But I don't need the predefined shit. And I am literally going to type nothing in here because everything has been passed to circle. What am I missing there? I'm doing it just like that. Pass it off. Oh, I don't need to say stream. We already defined it in what that was before. There we go. The nuances. All right, so that's our constructor. And then we'll do our accessor methods. We need a double sphere. Calculate volume. Yeah, I'm gonna just make sure I get that scope resolution on each of those real quick. The dot circle. No. Up here, you just have the names of the methods. The adding of the sphere colon is only in the implementation. It's okay. Okay, so now let's just go populate these. The volume of a sphere, this is 4/3 pi r cubed. So that's just what we're going to have. We'll return. We're going to force it to be a double. Actually, I can do this. 4.0 divided by 3 will force it to be a double. And then we're going to say times radius times radius times radius. How did I do box up here? I did get, shit, I just used the regular get. I think we have a get radius, right? Yeah. That's probably a better way to do it. It likes it. And surface area, interestingly enough, looks like the derivative. It's 4 pi r squared. So we'll tell it to return 4.0 times, I'm missing a pi up here. I want the space in there. I'm making it return 4 times pi times radius, which is the surface area of the sphere. Yeah, we have to use a library. The C math library does it, but loading libraries takes up a little tiny bit of memory, takes up a little bit of tiny time, and you're better off not doing it if you don't have to do it. Square root, a little harder to do, but squaring something's really easy. Now, if I had to do something like 2 to the 10th power, now fuck that. I'm going to be lazy and just going to include the library. But this is easy enough because you can literally copy and paste it to make it go quick. Calculate perimeter. I don't know. It's got to return something. So return 0.0. We're not going to use it. Display info. Well, let's go up and grab what circle had because it was very close to circles. And we'll just modify the terminology and what it shows. How's that sound? So we'll say sphere properties. And we won't have a circumference. That line's meaningless. I'll just comment it out. CS area is going to be a surface area. And we called that calc surface area. And we'll do a volume. So you got to remember, still got to do all the scope resolution operators on all that shit. And then on the constructor, anything you're passing off to a previous thing, you have to put it in there. Well, only on the constructor. Notice like on box has arc length or length, width, and height. We only have the pass off to the rectangle on the constructor. I don't have a pass the length or width to do a get length or get width because I can just pull directly from the rectangle above. So get length and get width are coming from up here to use in the box. Same thing's going on with our circle to radius or circle to sphere. Get radius, since we're building off the circle, we get access to all of its shit. We get access to all of its accessor methods. That's what the public is doing. All of our public shit we're getting access to. In fact, that's why this thing doesn't like this. Because radius was a private element of circle. And we are only passing it public information. So the public information stuff was the get radius, which is why we need to do that. Any questions so far? You keep telling, yeah. Why don't we try? Let's change this to radius. And let's see what happens if we do private. I don't know that I've ever tried it. All the way up here. Yeah, I think it's going to break other stuff, but I wanted to see what it breaks. (338) redefinition of. Yeah, let me look it up and tinker with it later. We'll check with private. It's a really great question. Ideally, you don't want to. You don't want people like you might have shit in there you don't want people tampering with. In this case, we don't. Let's implement a sphere. I'll copy that. I will edit this to have like sphere. My sphere. What was my sphere prototype? Color and then radius. I don't want to do yellow. Herp derp. Let's make it a unit sphere. How about that? Unit sphere. Oh, I need to go with my sphere right here. There you go. So now that I've got that implemented, I'm going to get rid of that. And we'll run it. And of course we fucked it up. Oh, I need to get rid of the equal part. I wonder if that was fucking up the private. Well, that's a good thing. If you come here, like if you're using like the Visual Studios, notice like I opened this up so I could look a little better. It's telling me what line and what character on that line there's a fuck up. If you look at the errors, it will tell you where you've done fucked up. That's fucking awesome. Oh, gotta put that back to get radius. All right, let's try that again. It's the perp derp color. What? Where? Oh, yeah. It just means end that line. It's probably not, it's not necessary. You should be able to where? That would be why. All right. That's why I copied all the stuff from the top and just filled it in. If you're typing the shit, man, don't be a redden. Don't pull a redden. Oh, you did? Okay, you did on the top. Like Juan, I should be able to do this and not fuck it up at all. Like that shouldn't do anything to it. It just means line ends here. All right, so that's how that kind of stuff works. Notice if I try to do something like, let's make like a, oh, shape was capitalized. If I try to make an array of this, even if I try to make it like a single shape, my shape, uh, let's see, red, just because it's a short color. Notice it doesn't like it. It even tells me why. Shape is abstract, cannot instantiate an abstract class. Okay. And it's kind of that what's making it abstract is all of the accessor methods are virtual. Or all the methods that we use, not accessor methods, but the other methods are kind of virtual. That's really the only difference between this and making a normal shape. Where was I? Down here. So along that lines, like that can't be done. No instantiating an abstract class. Same goes with arrays. Doesn't like it. Can't do it. Because if I can't make one, why would I be able to make a list? We do have an option of doing something like making pointers though. And that's not going to have a problem. I didn't do anything with it yet, but I was showing it. Why was I able to make a shape or not able to make a shape? I wasn't able to make an array of shapes, but I can make an array of shape pointers. Why? What does an array of pointers store? Addresses. So we're not giving it something that it can't store. So this stores addresses and is good to go. All right. Let's say I want to start populating this. If I do array 0 and I don't want to reinvent the wheel, I'm going to just come up and grab rectangle, copy and paste that bad boy right down here. I don't need a variable name. Why does it not like that? We actually did something. We had the same problem last week. When we do pointers, now we got to tell it, when you're making it with pointers, we got to use the command new. So with pointers, but we need to use new and delete for any instantiations in the array. So I'm gonna let's just make it fill in the other 5, copy and paste, make this shit easy. Remembering to type new first and get rid of that. And maybe I'll copy this part right here, speed up a little entering bit. And since I'm being lazy and trying to go as fast as possible with it, save myself some typing, it's going to be mad until I'm done copying and pasting the rest. I'll just go grab the shapes real quick, and then I'll do some cleanup after that. And we don't need any of the variable names there. Because remember when we made an array of pointers, as opposed to like the irregular array, the array has a name, but the individual cells like don't, it's not like a variable name. So I have an array of these. And let's say we want to do a loop. Print these out. If I try to do array I, it's not going to like it because it's the array I. If I do display info, oh, it did. It let me do it because it switched it to a pointer. It said you're using pointers. We're going to use the pointer version 2. Or as well. Recall the other option for this was dereferencing AI and then doing display info. We talked about that last week. That'll do the same thing. I probably want to have a cout end line in there. Maybe we'll make it look neat, have some separation between each of the items, make it look pretty. And I'm going to come out, let's comment out all the other stuff we did up here because we don't need those anymore. Now I've just got my array, array of pointers. I've got this. Let's run that. And we got it. We got everything we wanted here. This is really fucking useful. I was able to notice these are all shapes. Like the base thing is shape pointer. I didn't instantiate a single shape. They all have different display infos. And yet by making it off of a base class like this, I can do a for loop, access each one of them without having it like an, if this is a rectangle, do this. It fucking recognized right away which one to use. This is called polymorphism. Throw up an announcement. It's like if you saw lecture day 2, so was that. I didn't do lecture day 1 because it was all review. There was nothing new. I can. So it's polymorphism because it doesn't matter what thing. Oddly enough, polymorph means, well, morph is change, poly is many. So change many. And allows it's recognizing these are all different and it goes with each one. This is a type of polymorphism. There's more types, but this is the most common one we're going to have here. When we do these, though, we should delete them. So let's take a look at what we did here real quick. So our array pointer is pointing to that, and then we stored in 5 different shapes. We had rectangle, box, circle, triangle, and sphere. So we should go through and delete each one of those. I'll just copy this loop. And we're going to say delete ARI. So that's deallocating the memory that new created or new made available, or that new used, I should say. Should still work just fine. Just deleting the memory. If you wanted, you could have a little C out note saying delete memory. Any questions so far? Ah, fuck arrays. Arrays suck. Arrays require sequential memory, and we don't want to use that. So let's play with some vectors. We added vector, so we're gonna do vector shape. We'll do it a shape, a vector of pointers though. I'm gonna call it V shape. And since I don't want to make a whole bunch of new shit, I'm going to copy the stuff from the array, come down here, and we're just going to modify that shit to say what we want it to. How do we add shit to shapes? Well, that was new. It was new last week. So if you haven't been like, if you didn't try any of this shit, of course you're not gonna remember. You should be trying not doing the homework, even though it's not graded. Okay. Okay. So how do I add shit to vectors? Because we don't want to do this. We're gonna do pushback, right? So we'll do V shapes. Push shit. Should auto-populate. Oh, if I use the right. There we go. We're adding a new object to the vector of shapes. Effectively, yeah. And we'll do that here. I need to keep the new. V shapes. Pushback. Start the bracket, or start the parentheses and the parentheses. Oh, I hate that it's misaligned. There we go. And now that we see the pattern we're following here, we can go through and speed it up a little bit. Just remembering to add that extra parentheses at the end to each one that we did. And there's red on there until you do. So I'm going to comment out this display loop for the array. That way we don't see a bunch of shit getting printed. And let's do a for loop on this one. Ooh, let's change the characters. And j equals 0, j less than d shapes dot size. You always want to use size when you're doing vectors, because that way, that's the point of it. Vectors can be of unknown size. And j plus plus. And we will do B shapes. Okay, I display info. Doesn't like it. Right, is J. It didn't like it, period. It didn't notice it didn't populate this up earlier because I gave it a J and was like, nope, or I doesn't work. Oh, I did like this. Let me come copy that part. That makes it pretty. Right? Yes, because these are pointers, and so it doesn't do the dot. It does the you can make it do the dot. We can force the dot. In fact, let's force the dot. We got to dereference that. In fact, since the if you're using Visual Studios, it's automatically going to do that pointer thing. It might be good practice to do this, like do the dereference like this for a little while, just so you remember how to dereference shit. Because if you're not doing a pointer, you still want to be able to dereference addresses, stuff like that. Let's teach you something new. Let's do type ID. Let's see. This one's fun. So I'm gonna do, yeah, I'm gonna dereference V shapes. And I should be able to do, looking for name. Oh, V shapes I, J. Doesn't like name. Let me do this. Let me do the at J. J at is another way of doing this. That actually needs to be inside the parentheses. That's the problem. That should be one. Why is that not working? I have this commented out down below. Look at it. It's not something you don't use type ID very often. I was doing what? I should be able to use parentheses. Where was I up here? The Mac, because I don't have that.
No, like, go up to G, there's only one parentheses where it should be two. You should put it-
Yeah. Let's see where the other parentheses goes. It goes right here. Hold on. Let's just come down here and look what I had before. Yeah, it's not brackets, it's parentheses for at. Let me just copy that shit. There we go. Which should look just like what I fucking had. Does it? Type ID. Fucking hate you. Yeah, I saw this and I was thinking it was part of that one up there. And I need to end the for loop. Type ID is a pain in the ass. Just saying it. There is stuff we can use for it. But now notice it will tell us what class it was using. That way, if you didn't have it in the display. In fact, we can add like a nice little twist to it. We could throw in something like this. If string, we're going to force this thing to be a string. This took some figuring out. Equals. Equals. Let's say class sphere, because that's what it's did a C out of. Let's see, one, do I need another end parentheses? What? And now I have an extra one there. Yeah, I put the extra parentheses in the wrong spot. All right. Having all the spaces kind of fucking makes it hard. That makes it a little bit clearer. And what goes in the type ID is the dereference location of it. And now we can say, add something special. Oh, look, we made this. And look, doesn't show it on any of the other ones, but it said it. Oh, look, we made the sphere. So like you can use that. The type ID became important because this is a vector of shapes. And like if you only wanted to if you wanted to say something different with each one, well, first off, if you wanted it on each one, you could probably just throw it in the display info, right? But if there's if you're like doing something and like maybe making video game and you've got monsters and go like, if this is class boss monster, have it go boss battle. Have that like big text appear on the screen because you're facing a boss. That's a Dungeon Crawler Carl reference right there. I don't think anyone's read that yet. You guys are missing some good shit. Every time he has to fight a boss, that fucking his game. He's not in a game. He's in a dungeon, like a real world thing, but he has a HUD overlay that he can see, and fucking like the entire like physics is altered because he's been shoved into this game environment, and fucking time stops into this boss battle, and then there's like announcers and it's good shit. No, they're real. They're aliens. The audiobook is fucking fantastic. The dude does such a good job. Right. But though, like that's the idea. If you needed something that you wanted to do something off a specific class, you could do this type ID thing that only popped up for specific events. Uh, and again, you could probably put it in display info, or like maybe whoever made the boss monsters didn't think they're only in charge of the monsters, not doing like special like the music or sound effects or other display shit. They just make the characters. They don't do this display on screen. So your like monster wouldn't have display info other than a 3D rendered thing. So like this is something that like the other person that's doing the overall game could throw in to do that extra information. We did populate some new stuff though, so we should go through and delete it. So I'm gonna make another loop. Let's up it. Let's go start with K. I'm gonna start with the end. And to get to the end is you go to back. Actually, I just need the size of it right now. And it's really size -1. And then I'm gonna do int or k greater than 0. And then k minus minus. So we've reminded you of d or incrementing. K minus minus decrements is what it's called. Opposite of increment. And let's see, do a C out. We are deleting. And I'll throw in that, come up here and grab that bad boy. That way we can tell it which one we're deleting. And it's at K, not J. And then we want to deallocate the memory. And we need to pop back too. So like what order should we do this? I'm gonna come over here and look at this real quick. So like, let's pretend this is a vector now. Since I don't want to waste time redrawing it all. I need to empty the contents by delete. And then I need to shorten the vector with pop back. If I try to shorten it first, if I say pop back first, it crosses it out and the memory is no longer accessible. So I can't go deallocate it at that point. So the order you want to do it in is do the delete, then do pop back. Okay. This idea of figuring out like systematically what you want to do might seem pretty trivial right here. But when we start doing linked lists and we start building fucking trains and trains that go back and forth like a doubly linked list, well, not everybody's taking this class. How do you remember it? I thought you've only taken CSCI 1. Oh.
Yeah.
Well, you went a long way through it because linked list is later on. Wow. Okay. That's fine. Yeah. There's a lot of shit, and like being able to track visually what's going on at each step of your code really helps. Having something you're gonna find pencil and paper is really, really fucking helpful. So we said we wanted to delete V shapes dot or V shapes bracket K. And now we're gonna do V shapes pop back. And this is why I actually did the back of the list. If I had done K equals 0 up to the vector size, it's going to start trying to read, like when I do the C out, the delete part here, it's going to try to tell me the objects that we're deleting, but it's deleting from the back, not the front. So we had to start with the information at the back. If I do that here now, give it a run. And did I delete a vol? No, I did not. I missed rectangle, which means I need to do something else here. I need to maybe make that K is greater than or equal to 0. Because I didn't get them all. There we go. There's rectangle. Yeah, like arrays, the first element is 0. I really fucking hate that. I really hate it.
Oh, that confuses me so much. I'm just like, okay, I'm not here. I'm like, what? I'm like, there's like 50 like I'm looking at it I'm like, there's 50 cents, but it goes to, I'm like, it's confusing me so much.
Right. The other thing I don't like here is that I had this line, then I immediately went into delete class. So I'm gonna add another C out end line just to make it graphic or the display look a little better. There we go. There's some space between it. Like on your tests, presentation matters. It's not a big portion, but since we're trying to up our game and be like good little programmers, we want to make shit that like people are like, that's nice to look at. So take some time, like making sure it runs first. That's like most of your grade. And then like the next biggest portion is the peer review. And then like a small portion is like, how pretty was it? Now, as long as it looks good, it doesn't need extra bells and whistles like on the test. When we do a test, if you do extra bells and whistles and add a lot more than I ask, it's probably going to end up being extra credit. I usually give extra credit when someone goes above and beyond what was asked on that question. But being pretty is not extra here. We want to start making things look pretty. Ooh, shit, this isn't right. I'm gonna go with what part of extra credit are you not getting here? Without like wait till the test and then I can give you an example. That's the easiest way to do it here. All right. That's what I got for you today. We learned inheritance, polymorphism. Fun little thing. I'm going to pull it up on Discord. This was an FNL. FNL. If you're in there, this is on polymorphism. Her fucking face. That's it, folks.